everyone. This is Lucas Ross Sports. Lucas Ross, your commentator. We continue our 2022 college football predictions. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are up next. I'll give you my thoughts on this team, go through their schedule, and give you an official prediction for this team, and I will go from there. But before we do that, let's look back at 2021 for this Mississippi State team. 2021, the Mississippi State Bulldogs went 7-6 overall. This was a really good team last year, really good underdog team in the SEC West. And let's take a look at the offense and defensive rankings for this Mississippi State team. 60th on offense last year and 62nd on defense. 60th on offense is okay, but I think it's a much better offense this year than it was last year. That offense really took a step forward, at the end of the season. It really took a step forward. They were averaging a lot of yards. Defensively, 62nd on defense. This is a defense that has a lot coming back. I'll give the production percentage in just a minute. But 62nd on defense, that's a lot to be improved on this year. I think it will be improved. Offensively and defensively, points per game and opponents per game, 29.1 points on the offensive side of the ball, and then 25.9 points given up on the defensive side of the ball. So pretty similar stats there for Mississippi State. My thoughts on this team, they're going to be really good. I think Mississippi State has a shot to be a contender in the Big Ten or the actual SEC West this year. They have a lot coming back on both sides of the ball. Will Rogers, especially back at quarterback, what is he going to be like? Is he going to have a good year? I think he will be a breakout quarterback this year. Depends on the schedule. And here is that schedule for Mississippi State. You see the opening game against Memphis. This is not an easy non-conference schedule for Mississippi State. They get Memphis, Arizona out of the Pac-12, and then you get Bowling Green. Bowling Green's a really interesting team. They're going to have a lot coming back, but it should be one of those easy type wins there. We start with the Memphis game. Memphis first here on September 3rd. This is an interesting matchup here. Memphis is going to be a really good team. They're a good group of 5 team. With it being at home, though, I had to go with Mississippi State. I think they're the favorite in this one as well, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Mississippi State to win that one at home against Memphis. Next game is on the road at Arizona. This is a really tough place to play here. I know in my Arizona video I picked Mississippi State to win this one. A reason why is because I just love Mississippi State's offense in this game, and I also love the defense in this game. I think the offense really will take time to get better, but I think the defense is going to be a big step forward this year for this Mississippi State team. And I think Will Rogers has a breakout game in this one. And I think Mississippi State will go on the road and defeat Arizona here. I think it's a big win there for Mississippi State on the road at Arizona. This will be a close game, though. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a double-digit win here, maybe for Mississippi State, a game that can go either way. I think Mississippi State is automatically the favorite by at least, maybe 10 points or somewhere in that range, but it's a game that can go either way. Next game is on the road at LSU, so they open up SEC play for the LSU Tigers here. LSU has a new head coach, Brian Kelly, coming over there. What is LSU going to be like? We don't know what the status of LSU is going to be like this year, but it's one of those games where Mississippi State could, really start to downfall. It's really one of those games that could just be an upset alert type game. But I think LSU, with it being on the road, and also I think LSU's crowd will be fired up for this one. I think the Tigers will pull off the win. I think Mississippi State will lose their first game of the season on the road at LSU. It's a game that can go either way, though. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I think there's 2 great quarterbacks here with Johnson and Rogers. They're going to be both really good this year. It's going to be a good matchup. Really stay tuned for that game. Bowling Green is taking care of business. I know Bowling Green is already counted as a win, but I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a really closer game than that. Bowling Green has a lot coming back this year. They have a ton of production coming back, but I think Mississippi State should take care of business. Not saying it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be about 14 points, somewhere like that range. So I think Mississippi State does win that one. Next game is at home against Texas A&M on October the 1st. Texas A&M, of course, we don't know what they're going to be like. Texas A&M has a young team this year, but they have the #1 recruiting class. But I think the future is really bright for Texas A&M. The future is definitely right there for them, but right now it really starts from Chapter 1. But right now I think Mississippi State, with them being at home here, I think the Cowbells will be fired up. And if this was a upset alert type game, this would be one of those games. And I think Mississippi State will pull off an upset against Texas A&M here at home. With them being at home, it's a big win there for Mississippi State, and I think they do win that game there. Arkansas is next here on October the 8th. Another interesting matchup here. Arkansas brings a lot of production back this year as well. The question is, will they be good enough to win the SEC West? I don't really think they will be. They're really a type of underdog team. Mississippi State, though, I like them here at home. I think Will Rogers will be fired up as well. I think he's going to have a breakout game in this one. And I think it's an offensive back-and-forth contest. But I'm going to say with Mississippi State at home, I have to go with the home team. It's a 50-50 matchup, and that's why I have to go with Mississippi State to win. So Mississippi State at 5-1 now. They head on the road to face Kentucky next. Of course, they play Kentucky every year, and that's a tough draw out of the East there. Kentucky is another team that really is going to be good this year. Will Levis back at quarterback. How about it? Will Rogers versus Will Levis. That is going to be a great quarterback matchup to watch. I think Will Rogers is, not the experienced quarterback. I think Will Levis is the better quarterback, but it just depends on what's going to happen. It just depends. It's a 50-50 matchup, but with it being 50-50, I have to go with the home team. So that's gonna be their second loss of the season on the road at Kentucky. Be a close game, but I think Kentucky will be the favorite in this one. I just like Kentucky in this one as well. Alabama's next on the road. I really don't see Mississippi State competing in this game. I know Will Rogers is a good quarterback and all, but I think Alabama will be fired up. So this is a top 25 matchup here, but Alabama's got Bryce Young coming back, so you got two great quarterbacks going at it here, but Alabama's too talented. I'm gonna say Alabama wins it here by at least, double digits. So I'm going to go with Alabama there. Auburn next year on November the 5th. Auburn, an interesting team this year. I'm not saying they're going to be like big-time favorites in the SEC West this year, but Auburn just doesn't really have the talent, to compete with. They have the talent to compete, but there's a lot of question marks for Auburn this year. But Mississippi State's back at home in this one. It's a close game, but with it being at home, and also I think it's another 50-50 game here, I just got to go with the home team. I like Mississippi State in this game, and I think they do defeat Auburn here on November the 5th. Georgia's next here, so they get Georgia out of the East this year. So tough draw here for Mississippi State out of the East this year. Have to face Kentucky and then Georgia. Georgia at home, though, it's a big winnable game here for Mississippi State, but Georgia is Georgia, right? Georgia obviously loses a lot on defense, but of course, they're going to be really good this year any way you look at them. I think Georgia is too talented. I don't think I see Mississippi State competing in this game. So that's their fourth loss of the season, but Mississippi State takes care of business against East Tennessee State. That's an easy win there. And then they face Ole Miss on the road to end things out. This game is on Thursday night, so you don't really get a big break there. And Mississippi State, obviously, this is going to be a back-and-forth contest. This is going to go either way. I'm seeing it as a big game here. I think it's going to be a game that can go either way. Two great offensive teams. I like Mississippi State's offense. I like the defense in this one as well, but with it being a 50-50 game, I have to go with the home team, and I'm going to go with the Rebels here to pull off a win. I think Mississippi State does lose this game, but it will be a close one for the Egg Bowl. It's a big rivalry game as well, and I'm looking forward to that game at the end of the year. So the overall prediction for Mississippi State comes out to be 7-5, the same record as last year. I think with this schedule, it really sets up nicely, but when you look at those road games with Kentucky and Alabama, those are tough matchups. And then LSU is a big loss to begin the year, but I think they do at least win one road game, and that is Arizona. So I expect Mississippi State to be good this year. Will Rogers, though, is going to be great this year. And I think 7-5 is the record for Mississippi State. And we'll continue to do more predictions throughout next week. Stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.